welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going over the pros and cons of a 70 size reel. I even got one outlier of a reel, but I'm gonna go over all the 70 size reels I have, why I love them, why I think you guys should be trying them, and how they can fit into all different types of fishing. So can't get this video started without talking about the original 70 size reel I picked up, and that is the original SLX MGL 70. This thing has been awesome for over a year now. I picked one up about this time in 2024, and I put it on a Dobbins Cadence 734 and went to town. This is a 6-speed reel, and it has been very, very good. Traditionally, when people talk about 70 size reels, it's always about finesse and throwing light baits, and that's true. This does, because this smaller spool, and with it being MGL, which is a lighter spool, the amount of energy it takes me to get that spool to start spooling, which makes your line come off your spool, which makes your bait fly away, it does work. But what I've found through the SLX line and the Curado line, and just 70 size reels in period, is that because of that energy, they also skip real well. They will take a jackhammer, and I can flip a jackhammer or a spinnerbait into a tight spot real effortlessly, and the amount of splash I'm now creating is lower, and that includes jigs, tubes. But a big problem with these smaller reels is that the teeth on your gear are technically smaller. So there is a chance you could strip them if you're using this for like frogging or punching. So what I found is that these are just really good overall. If you're on a fishery that you're bobbing across a giant flat, might be the best reel for you. It's only a 70 size reel. I think this only holds like 80 yards of 12, I think is what it was, or 90 yards of 12, something like that. Wouldn't grab my box. It's a 12-pound mono. You get 85 yards, 14 for 70 yards. And that's pretty much the same for all the 70 size reels. But overall, I think the smaller 70s are just an overall really good reel. I've used mine for top water, but once again, if you're bombing them against a giant point and you're trying to cast that thing 300 yards, I mean, it's a little bit different story. But just everyday use, throwing a popper, throwing a jerk bait, throwing a crankbait, up to, I've used mine up to 12 foot, so I can say at least up to 12 foot, they're fine. But I wouldn't throw on those big, deep diving 20 footers. The teeth are not rated for it. It's not designed for it. And then everything shallow cover, just flipping around, doing some light flipping. It's really nice. And also being a 70 size reel, it holds less line. So if you blow it up, it's not as bad on the wallet to respool a 70 size reel that takes 70 yards of line compared to a 150 or 200 that could be 120, almost double the line capacity. And now you're spending more money. So that's another pro of the 70 size. Next reel is the Curado MGL. This one and that first gen SLX share a lot of the qualities. Just now you're in a Curado, so you get a little bit better upgraded internals on it. I got this from American Legacy used about this, I think it was like in February or March of 2024. I got it on sale for like 110 bucks in like perfect condition. I think it was excellent. It was on there and they had a sale, so I grabbed it. I have upgraded the spool tension and the cast control to Speed Spool XCR bearings. That XCR bearings mix with a 70 size reel. So those bearings, they talk about casting distance. But what I found a lot with this XCR is that they now, once again, make the spool easy and free. Kind of the whole premise of a 70. It takes a lot less energy to get that spool moving. Now you upgrade the bearings. Now the bearings are even letting it do it even better now. So you thought you were taking no time to kind of just whip in a little spinner bait. Now you're just kind of like backing into this crap with this XCR bearings because it makes the spool that much loose. It just makes it easy. It helps it spool up faster. So this guy is a 7-speed. And what I've used this guy for, and you saw in the springtime at my summit tournament, my first tournament of 2024, I threw a jackhammer on this thing and gale force winds and still was able to cast it a mile, cast it effectively, not blow up my reel, and the 70 size reel handled some decent sized fish, at least for me. Handle a couple too high threes, a low 4. And overall, after that, this was my stupid tube reel. So skipping, back to that skipping part, those XCR bearings included with now, this is already a great skipping reel. Now the XCR bearings, it makes it even better. It makes that spool makes the spool come off easier, makes it easier to cast, and I don't have a lot of blow ups. If you still take it and you throw it into the water, yeah, it's gonna blow up. But a nice simple cast, I don't have to put a lot of effort in it. I can do that nice little basic wind, and that stupid tube, that jig is flying back there. So the next reel I picked up was the Curado 70, and it's probably one of my favorites. I'm a big fan of the Curado series. It just seems like a lot more sturdy of a reel, which makes sense, it's Curado. But this has the old MGL spool on it, like the original SLX. Then sometime last year, I think it was last year. Yeah, last year, they came out with the new SLX 70A. I got in a 7-speed. My only con with this so far is I'm coming to 6-speed. I really like that SLX 70 a lot because it comes in a 6-speed. I can really slow it down. But the big thing about the SLX A's is that it comes with MGL 3, which is their highest quality MGL spool, their best, whatever you want to call it. And they put Silent Tune on it. If you know what Silent Tune is, I hope when the GoPro picks it up, if you can see right there, you see a little O-ring, and you see one in there. All that does is so when your spool is spooling, it gives it less, it lowers the tolerance of your space in there. So now it's not waddling as more. It's now a lot tighter, which when it's bouncing around a little bit, that will slow your spool down. So with those little O-rings, now it's shaking less and it makes your reel cast farther. I've done testing on both between this and the original SLX 70. What I've found is this thing, I guess you could say cast farther, but I do like the original more because it seems like it's more controllable. This guy, if you're not paying attention, you'll blow your reel up. If you're taking it and it bombs them. But it is a little bit harder to set up for skipping. It is a little bit harder because it does that MGL 3 will send a bait across the mile, across the whole lake. You'll spool your reel a lot of times. I can really see it because how well this whole setup is set up. So for skipping wise, that's why I'm still towards the old MGLs. They're technically slower, technically. So this is the one time that when your spool is too fast, it can cause you issues because you can have overrun. So I can skip really good, and that lure stop, my spool is just still spooling. So it might be more a setup issue on me, just not having the reel set up perfectly for skipping. I set all my reels up like exactly the same, and then I kind of tune from there. So it might be this reel might just need a little bit more adjusting. But the SLX 70A is a giant upgrade over the original. The MGL 3 is leaps and bounds better than the old MGL 1 or even 2. I can't remember exactly which one's in there. The Silent Tune helps keep the spool from moving around. So you can't get the old gen, but these are fantastic reels, and these only come out at 150 bucks. So all the same characteristics, same things from the last two reels. Like I said, the only difference is this seems like it's more of a caster than a skipper, but you can definitely change that with just adjusting their brakes. Because it's a Shimano, they're pretty easy to set up and adjust to what you need. The last reel in the 70 size class that I own is a newer reel, and that is the Tatula SV70. Picked this one up from Land Big Fish during Black Friday. I got it for next to nothing. I think 150 bucks or 125, whatever which one it was. And been really solid so far. I've only used it a couple times, no fish catches. But this feels like every other Tatula, just in a little pumpable size. I mean, this thing is little. You still got mag force braking, which is probably the best braking system on the market. I mean, it's so good. Lews decided to copycat it, so it's got to be good if Lews is trying to copycat it. Not really. They're just trying to figure out something. But same as normal. You don't adjust this. you leave it alone, make sure your spool is nice and loose. But those mag force brakes just make this thing sing. I mean, I had it set to 11 the last time I was out, and I was throwing a 1/2 ounce jerkbait, and I was casting it pretty dang far. Still the only complaint with Daiwas is these little handles, but this one I can care less about because it is more finessey. But I believe, without having on-water experience, this is going to act like a normal Daiwa. This is could be a really, really good skipping reel. So this does have hyperdrive. If I remember right, it's on the main gear, I think. I forget what hyperdrive is, but it's supposed to make it more smooth. But it's a Daiwa. All aluminum frame, solid internals like always. So I can really see this being a really good skipping reel. Because once again, 70 size spool, you blow it up, it's not as big of a deal. You lose less money than blowing up a big reel. And it can cast baits exactly the same. Like I said, haven't had a ton of time with it, but based off my other Daiwas I've owned, I think this is going to be a killer this year. You guys saw I had it on my Mega Bass rod. It's going to probably stay there for the year. I just don't know exactly what to do with this thing yet. So if you guys have had experience with the 70 size, let me know down in the comment section what techniques and applications this thing has exceeded at. All right, so last reel, it's technically not a 70 size, but it's in that shallow spool, smaller spool idea, and I want to talk about it because it is a really good reel. Overall have loved this reel. I've owned it for 2 seasons now, 3 seasons now, something like that. I've had it for quite a while, and I love it. That is the Lews Pro SP. I know, it's not 70 size, but it's a shallow spool. So to me, what I enjoy throwing these smaller spools for, this one is the same, but it is designed for skipping and pitching. And it is a beast of a reel. I have it in 8.3 speed. At 20 pounds, it only holds like 40 yards. I think when I had 16, I think I counted like 62 yards or 58 yards. So it's enough yard line that you can do a nice cast down a bank line. These are really, it has been a really, really good reel. The main thing I've been using this for is 20-pound flipping. But same concept as the little ones. If you blow it up, it's 40 yards of 20. Even if you buy a 120-yard spool, that means you got 3 times. You can blow this thing up 3 times, and then you're out your line. So this thing is really good overall, skipping-wise, when you get it set up. I still prefer the Daiwa system, the mag force. I would still prefer a 100 because that mag force braking, I have so much confidence. But when you get this thing dialed in, set up, they're a little bit kind of pain in the butt from the factory. But once you get it all dialed in, it's been a really, really good reel. This past year, I upgraded the bearings to those high-speed spool bearings, and it's taking this thing to the next level. Now, this thing skips a mile. I mean, it is fluent on skipping, but it's a reel that no one ever talks about, so I want to kind of include it on here. Before anyone says, yes, I know the Lews make it in the Mach 1. I don't use anything Mach related. And Orba makes a shallow spool as well. I haven't had a chance to use the Revo SX shallow spool. I just don't really have room for it in my arsenal. I have to sell reels that I have a lot of value and confidence in to use, and it's kind of hard for me to sell a reel I have confidence in to buy a reel I have no confidence in. So maybe down the road I'll buy it just for testing purposes. But the Lews Pro SP has been a really solid reel, and this reel I would recommend as a designated shallow. If you want to skip a jig around, and you can skip 1/2 ounce jigs, you can through. Pretty sure you can probably punch with this. It's got an upgraded gear system. The gears are a lot thicker, a lot bigger. It's not as big as like the Super Duties, but it's a solid reel. All I've used it for mainly is skipping jigs underneath cover. There's actually, I think one of my first videos I posted on here is me throwing a jig on this, skipping it around. So overall, it's been an absolute fantastic reel so far. And it's kind of one of those reasons I can't get rid of it, because I know how good it is and how much success I've had with this Pro SP. And like I said, going down to a smaller line, 16, 15, I was able to start just doing bank casting with it rolling a swim jig or something. So you can do more with it. You can put braid on it. It's got a speed knot. It's got a knot system inside that you can tie braid straight to it. So you could probably frog on this. I have never have, but I want to include, like I said, just want to include it. It to me is like that smaller spool. It's just the ones we talked about before are more designed for finesse. I think people need to quit calling it a finesse reel because you can use a lot of things on it. Like I said, the Curado 70, I threw a 1/2 ounce jackhammer. I don't think that's finesse, but you can do a lot with them. Just in a smaller package, a lighter reel. So if you have a arm issue or shoulder issues, they are technically lighter than your normal 150, 200 size casting reels. So it'll keep your combo lighter. Except this guy. This guy's a little bit heavier. It's more of a brute. But overall, I love the 70 size reels. There's just can't cast a mile because you don't have enough line. But if you're looking for shallow wise, if you want to be a designated shallow jig rod, I would not tell you guys to not buy a Pro SP. I would recommend it a lot. I've overall really loved it so far. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know I'm kind of rambling a little bit. I'm trying to make sure I include everything about these reels. Some people are on them. Some people love the 70s. Some people don't talk about them. Some people don't use them. I just want to make sure there's a video out from me talking about the 70 sizes and all the different reels and about how good they are. I really do love them. It felt like every time me and Aaron were fishing on a Wednesday nighter, or I'm fishing a tournament, or fishing this, I had a reel, at least a reel with a 70 size reel, or 2 reels with a 70 size reel, or even a 100 size. You know, I don't use a ton of 150s and 200s. I just don't, from the way how we fish here and the lakes we fish, that just don't really need it. You know, I only own, in my daily arsenal, I only have one. That's the Curado 200M. I don't really throw that swim bait rod that much. So the Curado M is the only 200 size reel. And except that, and the only 150s I have are the Bantams. Those are my 3 Bantams. Everything else, trying to look around and make sure I'm not missing a reel. Everything else is labeled 100 or smaller. I just think those size reels, 100s and 75s, are so perfect for 99% of my fishing shallow. Like I said, if you're a lot more of a offshore guy, or you fish on those kind of lakes, yeah, it's probably beneficial to at least go to 150s, have that line, extra line. But if you're a shallow guy like me who loves beating the banks, a 70 or even 100 size reels are some of the best value for you for the type of fishing that you do. So hope you guys liked the video. Once again, if you have any questions at all, throw them down in the comments section. I'll answer them as fast as I can. If you want rod recommendations for all of these, let me know. I have videos on pretty much every reel I've used here, except that Daiwa, because I haven't caught a fish on it yet. But if you want rod recommendations, let me know. And if you have any questions at all, let me know in the comment section. But until then, please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.